Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. If you like Korean, Chinese, or Asian dramas in general, subscribe now so you don't miss any episodes I post. Let's get to today's episode. Zheching is an agent for a private security service who is on a mission. Soon we meet Wensi, a girl who traveled abroad for university reasons. However, when she tried to help a girl on the street, that girl betrayed her, leaving her to be taken away by some mafia men. Wensi is offered as a prize in a mafia competition to the man who wins a violent fight before the competition starts. Zheching infiltrates the mafia's headquarters as an intruder and must also take part in the competition. He ends up winning, and since the mafia boss already knew and admired his work, he validates Zheching's participation and gives Wensi to him as a reward. Without saying much, the boss asks his men to keep an eye on him. Wensi, in turn, decides to trust Zheching, even though she has no other choice, as he doesn't seem to be a bad person. Zheching carries Wensi in an unusual way, prompting her to ask him to put her down. He replies that he'll do so once the mafia men leave, advising her to save her strength. When they're finally alone, Wensi remains calm, though still in his arms. She questions his behavior, and when reminded of what he said earlier, she asks again to be released. It's at this moment that Zheching starts flirting with her, making her nervous, until he reveals that the mafia men were watching them and he needed to appear convincing. When they try to escape, they are quickly surrounded by the gangsters' men. Even so, Zheching cleverly attempts to protect Wensi. Although they don't manage to escape, the gangster decides to keep them under watch because he is intrigued by Zheching's skills and cannot release Wensi, as it would leave loose ends. The agent advises her to rest to think of a way out. Wensi, however, refuses to share a bed with Zheching and ends up sleeping on the couch. While sleeping, she dreams of him and unintentionally slaps him. In the morning, he asks why, and she simply replies that she dreamed a pig bit her. Looking at herself in the mirror, she says she'd like to wear his shirt. This makes him nervous, but despite his mission to get her out, he continues flirting under the pretense of pretending they spent the night together. They mess up the room to play the part and act close when the mafia boss checks on them. The boss trusts their behavior but leaves Wensi waiting outside. Meanwhile, one of the mafia men tries to take advantage of Wensi, but Zheching rescues her immediately despite difficulties. Even so, the boss demands Zheching eliminate the responsible man. Wensi tries to convince him not to, arguing they aren't there to kill anyone. However, Zheching pretends to comply, injuring himself instead of the man. Later, when they're alone, she tends to Zheching's wounds, and he reminds her that his only goal there is to rescue her, not develop feelings. Jenny, the mafia boss's daughter, decides to help her father find out if Zheching is truly a traitor. The next day, she interrupts a training session and asks Zheching to be her bodyguard. He accepts, but only if he can stay close to her, seeing it as a good escape opportunity. Later, they visit a clothing store to prepare for a dinner that evening. While Jenny tries on dresses, Zheching tells Wensi that his assistant will help her escape. Wensi listens attentively, fearing something might happen to him. However, upon seeing mafia men heading toward the store, she rushes back, surprising everyone. Zheching takes her to a fitting room and asks why she returned. Wensi replies that she couldn't leave him alone. He then asks if she has feelings for him, but she doesn't answer. At the party that evening, the mafia men spike Zheching's drink at Jenny's request, as she wants to spend the night with him. They almost succeed, but Wensi intervenes, pulling Jenny away and giving Zheching water mouth to mouth. Jenny eventually leaves him alone. Zheching asks Wensi to help him to the bathtub, not wanting to lose control due to the aphrodisiac. After recovering, he tells Wensi they must flee that night, as his assistant is waiting for them. However, during their escape, the Mafia men pursue them. Despite the challenges, they manage to escape and contact the police, revealing it was all a setup to capture the Mafia boss. Later, the Mafia boss discovers Zhiqing's true identity and tries to strike a deal. Zhiqing would occasionally work for him in exchange for Wenxi's release. Zhiqing seemingly agrees. During a mission, however, he and Wenxi finally escape. Once safe, Zhiqing asks Wenxi to sign a document confirming the mission's end. She notices the exorbitant fee for his services and requests a discount, explaining her sister can't afford it. He agrees in exchange for her help with future missions. They begin working together, grow closer, and when their partnership ends, Zhiqing gives her his number, wishing her a happy and peaceful life. 3 years pass. Zhiqing hasn't contacted Wenxi, who suffers an accident and loses her memory. Despite this, they reunite when Zhiqing almost runs her over. He's thrilled to see her, but shocked when she doesn't recognize him. Instead, she hands him a nail near his car tire and leaves, dropping her work ID. Zhiqing discovers they'll soon be co-workers, as he's also joining the same company. He shares this with Lin Yuan, his friend, whom he left 3 years ago to save a woman. Lin Yuan relates, as he's been searching for his girlfriend, missing for 6 months. The next day, Zhiqing and Wenxi meet at work. He flirts with her, asking if she remembers their time abroad. Wenxi claims he's mistaken her for someone else, but Zhiqing realizes she's lying because she becomes very nervous. It's soon revealed that Wenxi is pretending to have lost her memory and is using the identity of Benjo, her twin sister, who died months earlier in a car accident. Although it seemed accidental, Wenxi discovered that someone at her workplace planned everything and got rid of her sister. Seeking justice, she assumed Benjo's identity and started working at the company. And the way her lie became even more credible was through a psychiatrist who approved her memory loss, something she achieved despite having fallen in love with Zhiqing in the past. She decides to leave those feelings behind. Their lives reach a turning point, and it is time to move on. The next day, they meet again in the company elevator. She becomes alarmed upon hearing Zhiqing say she cannot fool him because he knows her too well. He tries to say something until she realizes he is talking about moments on the phone. The elevator fills up, and to annoy her, Zhiqing hugs her, unaware they are being recorded by another coworker who sends the video to the company group chat. This leads to questions about who she is and criticism of her actions at the company. After leaving a meeting, Lin Juan suddenly hugs Wenxi, which surprises her, especially when he calls her by her sister's name. This makes Wenxi remember that Lin Yan is Benjo's boyfriend. Days later, Wenxi must deliver a document, but accidentally drinks water mixed with a sedative. Zhiqing quickly notices and goes to find her, afraid something might happen to her. Fortunately, he arrives in time to save her. Despite this, Wenxi feels very confused to see him there, but he explains what happened and mentions that he already delivered the document. She thanks him, but cannot help her heart racing when Zhiqing says he is always watching over her. Zhiqing takes her to the building where Linden lives, as Wenxi had an issue there. He recalls something Linden said about his missing girlfriend, which makes him suspect Wenxi might be involved. Once there, Wenxi decides to end her relationship with Linden, believing it could become an obstacle to her mission. Before that happens, Linden serves Benjo's favorite food, but Wenxi does not like it, making Linden suspect she is an imposter. Zhiqing shows up and finds them together. In a desperate attempt to make Linden leave her alone, Wenxi pretends Zhiqing is her boyfriend. However, he does not cooperate and insists he is just a close friend of Lin Yan, leaving Wenxi embarrassed. Zhiqing cannot hide his jealousy whenever he sees his friend approaching Wenxi and does everything he can to interrupt them. He developed feelings for her 3 years ago when Linden encouraged him to pursue the woman he fell for during a mission. When Ziqing is about to confess something, Wensi changes the subject, fearing what he might say. Ziqing learns that Wensi has a twin sister, which makes him even more suspicious of her. While Wensi tries to gather evidence in a nightclub to reopen her sister's case, Ziqing, in disguise, helps her when she is almost discovered. She thanks him, but does not recognize him. Even though he flirts a little with her the next night, Wensi tries to do the same, but she is quickly recognized by the men she is investigating. They invite her to join them, and Wensi agrees, knowing they are involved in illegal activities. Wensi returns to find the masked man again, but he says nothing. She then contacts Ziqing because she knows her colleagues are planning something against her, which is confirmed when they put something in her drink to make her sleep and take her fingerprints to steal company documents. Ziqing manages to arrive in time and saves her by pressing the fire alarm. He takes her to Linden, who is also very drunk. Linden's drunken state causes him to confess that he knows who Wensi really is, which makes her happy because it means she still has a chance with him. The next morning, Ziqing makes a joke, making her believe they spent the night together. However, when he sees that she does not accept this very well, he tells the truth and says he has a video of her drunk where she confessed many things to him. Wensi becomes worried because she will go to his office after this and tries to convince him to delete the video, flirting with him. To calm her down, Ziqing shows the video of that night, but edited, as he cut the part where she revealed her identity, so she would stay calm. Later, a co-worker deceives Wensi into taking some documents to an unauthorized location. She only realizes this when she leaves, seeing a sign indicating she should not be there. She hides when she sees some men approaching, along with the masked man. She overhears a conversation between the masked man and another co-worker about an illegal business. As soon as the co-worker leaves, Wensi manages to make the masked man help her leave, making an agreement with him to keep everything between them. Wensi decides to return to the club in search of more information, but Ziqing calls her for a meeting. Once alone, she thinks it is a good time to confess the whole truth about her identity and what has happened so far. Ziqing confesses that he only broke one promise in his life, which was not to contact an important woman to him because he lost her number by mistake, but Wensi cannot tell him anything because he receives a call at that moment and she is to leave immediately. She meets Lin Yuan and notices that he has a card to enter the place where the masked man and his colleague met. In an attempt to get it, she spends time with Linden without knowing that it would end badly, as he realizes that Wensi is indeed an imposter and is certainly trying to harm his company. Benjo knew how to swim, while Wensi doesn't remember all the strange behaviors the girl had so far. So, he indirectly warns her that if she is pretending to be Benjo with bad intentions, the best thing would be to go with San Pedro and finally help her out of the pool. Wensi manages to steal the access key, but Linden notices and orders someone to observe her. Benny sneaks into the boardroom and tries to steal the incriminating documents, but she is caught and almost injured. Fortunately, Ziqing intervenes in time and saves her from the horrible situation, although she can't recover the documents, as her partner takes them and escapes with them. Whoever follows him even risks their well-being to recover the documents, but ends up being scolded for it. She, however, ends up kissing him passionately, not knowing that he would burn the documents shortly after. The girl complains to him because she warns that those documents are fake, and the girl's companion makes her sleep, congratulating Ziqing for doing a great job, telling her that soon she will definitely meet him for being so loyal. Soon, she discovers that the guy she saw is actually Lin Yan, and even though Qin is working for him, he doesn't know that he is his friend, as his identity has always been well hidden. He ties her up and, when she wakes up, he gives her two options to keep her safe: send her abroad or stay by his side. Benjo accepts the latter option, not knowing that from that moment on, Zhiqing would start to act as his partner, regardless of whether Lin Yuan had seen them. That is why Zhiqing apologizes to his friend for this, who only responds that there is nothing to worry about since Benjo has changed a lot, even knowing that she is not his girlfriend, but his twin sister. But he pretends not to know anything about this anymore. Who knows that Wenxi is also the same woman his friend fell in love with during his mission. Soon after, Benny discovers that Zhiqing has an invitation for a club that she wants to enter for more information and flirts with him to invite her with him. However, despite the girl's efforts, she can't get any results. She doesn't give up and this time tries to convince Linden to invite her, which he accepts immediately. Later, an incident occurs at the office, and she asks Wenxi to go outside because he had to help others, not knowing that Lin Duan would take advantage of this opportunity to get closer to Wenxi, pretending to be hurt when he wanted to help her. At that moment, he gives her the club invitation, which Wenxi decides to help. Lin Jian cures her wound, still being an opportunist and pretending to be very close to Wenxi when he sees Zhiqing in front of them. He can't help but feel jealous of it, so when he is alone with the girl, he asks if she will continue living with him. In the past of her sister, he kisses her passionately because he can't stand seeing her with someone else. He stops when he realizes that Wenxi has a shoulder injury and immediately takes her home to heal her. He understands why she behaves this way, sometimes very loving and gentle, other times consumed by jealousy. Soon after, the club party arrives, and Zhiqing and Wenxi meet. To prevent something from happening to his beloved, he locks her in a room and asks her what she is doing there. She stays there until everything is over, but leaving her in the room doesn't save Wenxi, as one of her colleagues takes the opportunity and sends her a drink in Zhiqing's name, which she ends up drinking without knowing it contained aphrodisiacs because the classmate made a deal with a man to take advantage of Wenxi. Fortunately, Lantajulas arrives in time and pulls her out of the horrible situation, taking her to another place and trying to make her see reason again by kissing her, which makes Wenxi remember how she did it years ago. She did the same with Lantajulas. Lin Yuan is strongly reprimanded by his father after discovering that he abandoned the supposed Benjo. Even though the man wants to explain to him that the girl is no longer a threat, his father still does not listen to him and treats him badly, demanding that he return to Benjo for comfort. Linden sends a message to Zhiqing asking him to bring him his favorite sweets, which are chocolates. He believes the agent won't arrive because he is surely with Wenxi. However, it doesn't take long for Zhiqing to appear with the chocolates, and he even checks if Lin Yuan is okay, knowing how his father is. Zhiqing's secretary informs one that Wenxi is watching him and even placed a recorder in the club last time. Fortunately, C-15 noticed it first and sent his mission assistant to remove it and eliminate any traces that Wenxi had left to avoid putting her in danger, even though Lin Yuan's father still warned him. Zhiqing tells him that if the supposed Benjo continues to involve himself in his matters, he must get rid of her. It is for this reason that Zhiqing decides to give Wenxi 3 months off, so she won't be in danger. The girl knows that from now on, he can't leave, and if he does, he must be accompanied by someone he trusts, like him or his assistant. Wenxi doesn't really agree with this and, in an attempt to get more information about her sister's case, decides to put sleeping pills in Zhiqing's drink. She apparently succeeds in drugging him, but when she tries to leave the house, the agent interrupts her and kisses her passionately, letting her know that if she doesn't follow his orders, he won't stop kissing her. The next day, she finally manages to leave, but she is accompanied by Run, her lover's assistant. However, he gets distracted by the girl's friend, which allows her to escape in search of some documents. She meets the masked man at this moment and asks him to help her get the documents, which he does. When she returns home, she discovers that there are rumors in the company that she's taking an extended vacation due to a pregnancy. This bothers her a bit, but she uses the news to flirt with him and proposes that they make a baby to solidify the rumors, which only makes the girl run away. He realizes that Wensi is hiding something from him and lies, saying that he is just looking for a restaurant where they can have dinner together, as she wants to thank him for everything he has done for her so far, without knowing that in the end, everything would be arranged, ruining Wensi's plans. Her friend helps her out of the dinner, and Wensi meets V because he was contacting her identity, not knowing that the man would throw her into the pool and tell her that he would let her live if she stopped investigating his company. Wensi seizes this moment to remove AB's mask and discovers it's about Lin Yuan. He decides to let her go to the other world, since he already knows her identity. Fortunately, Zhiqing saves her again. Once home, Zhiqing reprimands her for taking such risks and warns her that it will be the last time he saves her. He then leaves because Vil had a job. He returns wounded, and that's when Wensi realizes that her beloved's life is still almost the same, and she asks him to change jobs since they still have a long life ahead of them. He advises her the same, as he is putting himself at risk just to find out who caused his sister's death. The two end up confessing their feelings and kiss passionately, while Wensi asks Zhiqing never to leave her again. However, he receives a call from B asking him to get rid of the girl, as this way he will allow Wensi and Lin Yuan to find him again. The man denies that this happened because they were truly in love and warns Wensi that if she reveals her true identity, she will hurt Zhiqing. Wensi is affected by Lin Yuan's words, and even when she breaks a glass, she steps on it due to her distraction at that moment. Zhiqing immediately notices and picks her up in his arms while the girl asks him to stay by her side. He knows the girl must be very nervous with everything that happened, so he takes her on vacation without knowing they will meet Ren's friend. During a game, Ren joins Zhiqing, and he can't help but feel jealous when he sees how close his lover and assistant are. He kisses her passionately, but stops when he receives a message. As soon as Zhiqing finishes his work, he gives her the attention he has always wanted to give to his beloved. That's how every night they make love until the end of the vacation. When they return home, Zhiqing tells Wensi that she can now go back to the company because things seem to have calmed down. However, it is soon discovered that she has been pretending to be her sister because one of her colleagues notices that Wensi doesn't have the scar she should have. She is then questioned by the shareholders, and when her fingerprints are compared to Benjo's, she has no choice but to admit it and is greatly disappointed by Zhiqing, as it was he who handed over the fingerprints. She decides to end the relationship once at home, and he even leaves the house, ending very badly because he remembers how Wensi promised that if he gave her Benjo's fingerprints, he would keep her safe, but in truth, he deceived her. The girl didn't care about this, and they ended up meeting in the living room when she was leaving the footprints. They reunite the next day, where he stops her with the excuse of tying his shoelaces and asks her to look for him when they see each other. If she rejects him that night, a man helps her sneak into the club again. There, she meets the masked man, and this time it's her who helps him escape, but he gets injured when they're safe. Wensi tries to help him treat his wound. However, the masked man doesn't allow this, and instead, it's he who heals the girl's wound, unknowingly leaving a necklace behind when leaving. Wensi finds a photo inside the necklace, and when she starts investigating the people in the photo, she discovers that it's a businessman and his son, so she assumes that the masked man is his son. The following night, she meets Zhiqing, and she notices something's wrong and asks if he's interested in her current state, which Zhiqing denies, and tries to leave until he remembers how Zhiqing took care of and protected her in the past. She meets the masked man again and proposes they work together to solve their cases, as in the end, they have the same goal. The man agrees. Days later, while they finally find valuable evidence, Wenxi is injured by one of B's men. Luckily, they manage to escape with the help of Ren, who is soon informed and tracks the couple from the cell phone they grabbed, which was linked to one of his accounts. He arrives just when Wenxi disappears and exposes Zhiqing's identity, and even though the girl can't see who it is, they are face to face with each other, which surprises him because he never realized it was his best friend. Even though they've been together for a long time, he takes Wenxi to rest at the bar. At that moment, he receives a call from B, inviting him to a meeting to show him his true identity, but the people respond that it's no longer necessary. Until Linden starts talking to him with his true voice, which immediately surprises him. Zhiqing goes to see him and asks him to surrender in a week, or else his sentence would be worse. Lin Yuan tries to manipulate him, but it only leaves Zhiqing upset, who is even rude with him, since Lin Yuan is responsible for the death of his father and Benjo, and he can't believe how shameless he is. The discussion intensifies, as one also has resentment against his friend for using him 3 years ago to save Wenxi. However, Zhiqing doesn't think it's as serious as what Lin Yuan did and reminds him that in a week, she must surrender. Lin Yuan doesn't give up and pretends to be Zhiqing to take Wenxi by force, but the girl notices something's wrong and he runs away. Zhiqing finds out when he checks the security cameras and immediately goes looking for her. He arrives just in time as Linden was about to fall from the building, and that's when Wenxi realizes that all this time, she had been seeing the masked man. Once everyone is safe, she calls him by name, and when they return home, Zhiqing is completely honest with Wenxi and tells him his whole story and how his father died after he found out what Lin Yuan was doing. After meeting her, he began a relationship with Lin Yuan to solve what happened with his father. Despite this, Wenxi decides to end her relationship with him permanently due to the fingerprint issue. Zhiqing will tell her the reason, but even so, the girl doesn't want to get back together with him. He doesn't give up and kisses her passionately, asking for her forgiveness. Even though things seemed fine, Lin Yuan takes Wenxi by force and contacts Zhiqing, telling him that if he wants the girl back, he will have to go to another country to deliver her the phone with the evidence. Zhiqing doesn't hesitate for a moment to do this, not knowing that his friend's father would not. He would do this and have to go after him even further. He meets Lin Yuan, and even though things seem fine, Lin Yuan gives them a car to go, but he blocks it in an app, so they can't leave or use the car's brakes. However, he regrets it at the last moment and unlocks the car doors so they can escape. They manage to get out of the situation unharmed, and once safe, Zhiqing informs his beloved that it wasn't Lin Yuan who was behind his sister's death, but his father. When they were on their way to the airport, Lin Yuan took them away by force again. While Zhiqing was trapped, he planned to perform surgery on Wenxi so that this time she would lose her memory and live as Benjo, surviving by Lin Yuan's side. However, this is not possible because Zhiqing manages to get her out of the dangerous situation by posing as a doctor. They manage to escape and realize that Linden also helped them because he pretends to be the doctor. They didn't know this, but it would have ended in losing their lives. Finally, the whole case is resolved and Lin Yuan's father is arrested. They visit the graves of their loved ones and say their proper goodbyes since they finally got justice. A few months pass, and we see how the couple is living happily abroad, enjoying beautiful moments together. And even though they believe everything is over, they receive a package warning them not to let their guard down because things are not over yet. This is how the story ends. If you're truly a fan of Korean dramas, leave your heart emoji in the comments because soon I'll be posting links to mugs, t-shirts, and hoodies with drama-themed designs. You'll love them. And if you like this story, make sure to watch the 2 videos I'm leaving now. Subscribe to the channel to always receive notifications about new episodes. See you later.